Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's Trail Talk. We may have a special guest tonight, Jay from the Ultrarunner channel. We'll see, but I have a lot to talk about. I want to talk about the Ultrarunning magazine. Let me make sure that we're live. Talk about the Ultrarunning, and we are live. So let's get started. When I was at the TRE show, the running event show, I picked up a latest copy of Ultrarunning magazine. Actually, getting ahead of myself, I've got my signature bucket hat on tonight, my black Jim Walmsley edition Nike version. I've worn this in many races. I really like it. I'd like to get a white Hoka hat like Jim Walmsley, but I haven't found one. Maybe I need to order one online. Last time I checked, they weren't available. Everybody bought them out. Still have a little bit of a cold, so maybe drinking some sparkling water here and there. So please bear with me. If you didn't catch my show yesterday, I'm still puzzled how I caught a cold. Of course, my family has it. I know I don't have COVID because I have 3 COVID shots already, and also have the flu shot. So how can somebody catch a cold with 4 shots? I should be able to lick doorknobs. I don't know. I can't complain. My health is good. Excuse me. So what I wanted to talk about is, so you can see here, Ultrarunning magazine. So I found some cool things to talk about in there. Also, I want to show you my hoodie. This one's from Jackalope Jam. It's a race here in Texas. I actually won the 48-hour event. I think it was 2 years ago. You see the cone on here. They call it the cone of death. The course is about 2.5-mile loop, and you do it over and over and over. And you start at the start-finish line, and you go way out, and not really way out. You go about 1.5 miles out, and you go around the cone. It's just in the middle, at the end of a Jeep road. Excuse me. And they call it the cone of death because you have to go around it so many times. Well, interesting story is I did the 48-hour race, so I'm basically out there for 2 days and 2 nights. And on the second night, I started on a Friday morning. On Saturday evening, I shouldn't say Saturday evening, late Saturday evening or early Sunday morning. I guess it was about 5 a.m. It was probably just a couple hours before dawn, and was going towards the cone. And of course, I had a headlamp on, and the cone of death had a skunk by it. So what do? There was actually another guy not too far away from me, so we just stood there. And eventually the skunk just kind of ran away, but really kind of startled you after running for 2 days. I kind of thought I was hallucinating, but I was like, no, that's a skunk. And it would have been terrible to be sprayed by that thing. But anyways, let's talk about the Ultrarunning magazine and whatever else y'all want to talk about. First off, who buys the magazine? I used to buy it all the time. I used to go into Barnes and Nobles, which is the only, brick and mortar that you can buy books at anymore, at least in Austin area. And I used to buy it. It's quite expensive. I don't know what it says. It's let's see if they have the price on here. Wow, $8. It used to be $6.99. $8 for a magazine. A lot of this stuff is online. So I noticed that I guess they started doing it a couple years ago where each issue is for 2 months. So I guess it comes out 6 times per year. But it's got a lot of nice pictures in it, and I like to read it. But to be honest, I just bought it because I was an ultra runner. I really didn't gain much from it. A lot of the articles you can read from I Run Far, it's the same authors. I don't want to make the Ultrarunning magazine mad at me. I know they're probably trying to build up their subscriptions, but they really do a good job of all the graphics and stuff in there. But I guess that's why it costs $8. $8 for a magazine? I'm getting old. I remember when books cost that much. But What I wanted to talk about, um, they had one really good article in here. A lot of ads for Koros watches, and they really don't cost very much. And they really give all their ambassadors like watches or discounted watches. Don't you see that so many people are pushing Koros watches? Um, I heard they're pretty good. I think the new one's a Vector or something like that. They're supposed to compete with the Phoenix. But if you compare Garmin and Cinto, Koros seems to have a lot of ambassadors. A lot of people doing videos for them, so I know that they got some sort of sponsorship. But I'm just wondering how they make so much money, or how they make enough money to survive. It's a excuse me. The ownership of Koros is Beijing. It's China-based GPS company, so that's where they get a lot of their smarts. But the way I understand, Koros just has a phone app. It doesn't have the computer-based app like Sunto and Garmin. I really think Garmin, that's where they're strongest, is their computer-based apps and basically the back end of their stuff. But I think Koros is catching up. It'd be interesting I know Garmin's growing by leaps and bounds, and today they announced they moved from NASDAQ to New York Stock Exchange. Why? I don't really know, but that happened today, actually. So they're doing really well. I think they're getting a lot of the money from aerospace. They're basically in everything. I think Sunto's doing already. It's a Finnish company. I think they're doing okay. I'm not real sure. But Koros, man, it's just everywhere. It's like everyone, every video, every YouTuber you check out, except for me, it seems like they're getting free Koros watches to promote. But I'm not knocking them. I hear they have pretty good product. I just never tried them. And they had a pretty nice booth at TRE also. Actually, it was bigger than Garmin, and Cinto wasn't even there. But kind of got off the subject. But I want to talk about knees. I had a relative tell me that, you need to back off your running. We all hear it all the time from colleagues or family members. The relative says, you're no spring chicken. I'm in my 50s. It's like, so what? I'm faster than I was when I was in my 40s, probably 30s too. I'm not having any knee problems. And the way I understand, I'm a Roadrunners Club of America certified coach, just like a lot of YouTubers are. I don't ever talk about it, but I am. I just throw that out there. I got the certification not so much to coach people. I might start doing that. I've thought about it. But I mainly got it so I could teach my son proper way, planning and, training blocks, that sort of thing. He's a young runner, and I wanted to improve myself. But I thought it was pretty cool. It only took me a couple of days to get the certification. But, they talk about in there too, running's not going to hurt your knees. But, you're dealing with colleagues and family members. I'm sure you've heard it. You're going to destroy your knees. The way I understand it is, unless you've had trauma in your knees, and what I mean by that is like you've been in a car accident or injured in football or military. But even if you have trauma, sometimes it's fixable. Like my brother had trauma in the military and he runs ultras now. But there's a really good article in Ultrarunning magazine, and it's written by Tracy Beth Hoig. I guess is a doctor. But it says, understanding the risks and overcoming any problems with injury for your knees. But what stood out in here is something I've heard before, and, just right on the money. It says, running is not in and of itself harmful to the knees. In fact, it is likely better for the knees than being sedentary. Means don't do shit. So, I can give an example. I do a lot of ultras, and Brazos Bend, I really messed up my feet. They were swollen, throbbing for days. Blisters. My feet really get beat up in the really long ultras. It takes a few days to rehab them. They say by good rule of thumb, it's 1 day per 10 miles, but I'm usually okay in 3 or 4 days. I can do some light running. Maybe even 2 days I can do some biking. But I never, knock on wood, have had issues with my knees. They're not even, a little bit sore, my muscles are sore, but my knees, they're just like rock solids. So kind of maybe I'm blessed with that, but I've heard that from other people too. So as much running as I've done in the last 30, 35 years, I've been running since college. More than most people will run in their lifetime. I just saw nonsense about running hurting your knees. I'm sure you get tired of hearing it too. But there's a really nice article in Ultrarunning magazine about that. And oh, look at it. They're all over the magazine. Another Coros watch ad. And it's been in the box. They don't charge much for their watches either. I think some of their watches start in like the $300 range. I'm not sure how much the Vector costs. If you know, let me know. I'd like to know how much the watch that's comparable to the Phoenix cost. What I was looking for is talk about lighting. Talked a little bit about lighting yesterday. I've been purchasing for my whole life, and I really know lithium metal batteries and lithium ion batteries, what some people call LFP, very well. I mean, lithium ion batteries are what like you use in a Tesla and forklifts, and basically it's the hot battery out there. And the reason it is LFP technology is not, there's no fire danger. Also, if you puncture, it's going to catch on fire. Other chemistries can catch on fire, like NMC, and et cetera, et cetera. But you can see here the waist light. That's an Ultra Aspire. It's a very good waist light. I mean, I was sponsored by Ultra Aspire until a few months ago. They make a good product. But I've been very hesitant to switch to LFP batteries. And I noticed that all of the Nathan, all of them are switching over to LFP batteries. Now, the advantage is it's better for the environment. You're not taking out alkaline batteries that have to be thrown away or recycled. Now, when I'm talking about alkaline batteries, I'm talking about AA or AAA. But the disadvantage is, well, they're doing this for the environment. The disadvantage is when you're in an ultra race, lithium ion can only be, you have to either replace the large cell, which is usually like 18650 or 26650. It's a pretty big battery. They're expensive, they're like $15 each. And you still have to charge it. So you may have an extra one, you charge it and put it in your pack. But these batteries have to be charged by USB. So I have an Ultra Aspire belt that's a little bit older, and it uses 3 AAA batteries, and I love it to death. But they stopped making it. All of them are stopped making it. They're all switching to lithium ion. So, yeah. Sorry, I was trying something out there. In case I've never had a guest on here before, so I want to make sure that it prompts me for a split screen. So I shouldn't have tried that live, but anyways, I'm talking about lithium ion batteries, and great for the environment, but I think not so good for the user. I like the fact that I can keep the alkaline batteries. I wrap them in saran wrap. I wrap either 3x3s or 4s or 2 AA's for my Nathan handheld light. And I'm all for the environment. I'm just saying for trail racing, it's much more convenient to have the alkaline batteries instead of the lithium ion. And if you do go lithium ion, you might there's some big packs that last all night. I would go that way. But you don't want to carry a bunch of lithium ion batteries. They're pretty big. And if you do, you might want to place them in a drop bag so that you have a couple on the course. You have to be real careful about it. I wanted to talk about that. Also, there's some really cool shoes out there, some of these European brands. One that I've never tried that I want to try is Innovate. I don't even know how to say it right. It's INOV. I think it's a British brand. They have some really cool shoes. At least they look cool. They almost look like baseball shoes or football shoes. See that there? Um, it's Innovate. I'm probably butchering their name. World's first graphene foam. There are a lot of pros that use them in Europe, and I know there's some in the U.S. too that use them because they've been sponsored by them. But I've never seen any in any stores. I mean, REI and I guess you can buy them online, but I really don't like to buy shoes online unless I can try them. I mean, I say that I've done that, but I end up returning them. That's one nice thing about running warehouses. If you can return them and it doesn't cost you anything. REI, I mean, if you take it down to the store, you can return it with no shipping costs. But if you try to return it to them, they will charge you the shipping. But I'd really like to try that brand. I've thought of that. I thought about doing that. And also another brand that's out there all the time. You see a lot of advertisement, but you don't see many people wearing is Drymax socks. Almost all the pros are wearing them. How do they make their money? I don't know. I know they do a lot for football teams like NFL and high school. They're real big, and Drymax is real big in that. It's supposed to be a really good sock. But I've never tried any. I've never seen any in the store. I've never seen them in REI. I mean, REI sells every brand under the sun. Why don't they sell Drymax socks? I don't know. I've always wondered that. I mean, Jim Walmsley wears them. But actually, to be honest, I think I would use them for training runs. I'm sold on my Injinji toe socks. I need toe socks, whether it be Injinji or another brand. I can't imagine using a regular sock again. And the Drymax socks are pretty thin. I know they're like double layer. I'm going to be testing out a right sock, which is a double layer. There are several socks out there that are double layer, and Drymax has special double layer technology to protect you from blisters. But for me, 100 mile, I'm going to be out there 26, 27, maybe longer hours. I mean, Jim and them are finishing ultras in 14 hours, kind of a little bit faster than my 100K time. Maybe for them, the sock is enough, but I can't imagine, being a big runner, I mean, in the 190s, I mean, running for 25, 26 hours, I just can't imagine using a Drymax sock or any of the other thin socks. But they run a lot of advertisements and they've got a lot of sponsorships. Almost all the pros have their names on them. But I don't see anybody wearing their socks. I don't know. I just kind of thought that was worth talking about. Yesterday I was talking about the Desert Solstice Run. Did anybody see that? I looked on I Run Far to find out the final results just a little bit earlier. David Laney, man, just lit it up. I mean, he finished 100 miles in like 12 hours and 36 minutes or something like that. It's really amazing. And Camille Herron beat her own record. I don't think either one of them broke any world record. But Camille Herron came in like at 13 hours, 20 minutes or something like that. Really, it was only like 40 minutes different than the fastest male. It's really amazing. There's such a big difference in the track and field between the male and the female. But when you get into the ultra distances or the longer distances, I should say ultra distances, there's not much difference. At least not much anymore. I mean, you saw what happened at UTMB this year, where there's so many females in the top 20. And Courtney DeWalter, I think she had, 6th or 7th place? She overall, not just winning the female. I find that very interesting because if you just drop down just a little bit for, down to the marathon, it's not like that at all. I mean, the men just smoke the women in the marathon. I mean, it's not even close. You got the women finishing the high 220s, and you got men, finishing 204, 205. But when you jump up to the ultra distance, there's not much difference. It's really interesting how it changes. But there was another race in here. Boy, let's see if you can see this. The Warrior race. This is a race in New York City. It's called the Warriors Ultrarun. Well, it's underground. I guess they run in subways or whatever. 28 miles. But what the interesting thing is, you dress up like a warrior. You dress up like a gangbanger. And it says here it's an overnight underground 28-mile course in the streets of New York City. Runners dressed as gang members pass iconic sights from the movie The Warriors. That's bizarre. Well, the only thing I could think of is chafing. I mean, why would you want to dress in a Warriors outfit to run 28 miles? Maybe it's the first time you think it's cool, but I guarantee you won't do it a second time. so, yeah. Yeah. Hey, Allison, thanks for joining. I don't really understand your message, but thanks for joining the live stream. Sorry, I have a cough. I was just talking about the Warriors Ultra Run. Amazing. This is creative, though. I would never heard of it unless I checked it out. And something I talk often with my brother about is people running in sandals. I mean, I've got some sandals that I run in, and I use them for casual wear a lot, and they're built for running ultras. I do some runs in them, but I just get rocks in there, man. That hurts. Pebbles and stuff. I don't know how they do it. I've been in many ultras where 100 Ks, even 100 miles, I see people running in sandals. I just don't know how they keep the rocks and stuff out of their sandals. It's got to be painful. I mean, I know it's painful because when I do it, I'll tell you what's nice is you put on a pair of Injinji socks and wear the sandals. It's pretty nice. I still wouldn't use them in an ultra. I didn't buy them for that reason. But you can see here, this guy's feet are pretty torn up. But he finished the hairpin 100 in sandals. I'll tell you why, he should get an extra award for that. I mean, his feet look terrible. And he still has all his toenails, which is kind of interesting. But sorry, just dealing with this cold. There was another cool story in here about an ultra runner. It's about a race in Australia. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts about racing in Australia, and I've got Jamal Richards, which is putting on some races down in Australia. He's a good friend of mine. And they talk about all the really poisonous snakes, like the brown snake, and you got kangaroos, and you got all these things. A lot more things to worry about than we do in the ultras in U.S. I mean, in Texas, we have rattlesnakes, we have mountain lions, we have other things. But, the race directors always say, and Chris, which runs Tejas Trails, he always says, the thing you have to fear the most is hydration. He says the mountain lions are fed well. They're not going to bother you. And the chances of seeing one is very rare. But I have run across, my question let me back up this. In the story, this guy runs up on a feral dog. I don't even know what a feral dog is. I'm kind of imagining like a hyena. Anyways, it had a dead kangaroo in its mouth. And supposedly these feral dogs are like vicious, like a lion or something, and can kill you. And it didn't bother him, and it had the kangaroo, and it let him go, basically got away. But it kind of got me thinking, what's the scariest thing you run into when you're running out on the trails, animal wise? I mean, I have some stories of my own, but none of them are really scary. I think the first time I saw a rattlesnake, it kind of startled me. But they're always at peace. It seems like, knock on wood. I mean, it seems like every time I've ever ran up on a rattlesnake, they're crossing the trail, and there was someone in front of me that warned me about it. So I was never, excuse me. It was worse tonight than it was yesterday. The thing about rattlesnakes is, like I was saying, is when I encountered them in trail races, I've never seen them in a training run, but I've seen lots of them in trail races. And it's usually at night with a headlamp. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen one during the day. No, I've seen one at dusk. But there's usually someone that warns me about it, or I see it crossing the trail. They're always very peaceful. I've never had one rattle at me. Doesn't mean that I like them being out there. I wish they were extinct, actually. I know that's kind of harsh, but rattlesnakes are very dangerous if you get bitten by one. And where our trail races are, they're pretty rural areas. Anyways, I've seen a lot of rattlesnakes, and very peaceful, not really bother me. The thing that scared me the most, I had a couple things. I shouldn't say scared me, made me very nervous. I was once running down through a canyon, and a Russian boar bellowed out and roared, basically echoed the whole canyon. It must have been a huge one. That kind of made me nervous. And another time I saw a boar. It was pretty interesting. This was in Central Texas. I remember it distinctively. I was running in this a desert race, Buffalo Desert Race. And it was towards the end, and there was these three military guys. They passed me earlier in the day, and really jacked up guys. I mean, really fit, but they were running together, and they wouldn't leave each other. And they had music. They had one of those music things you can hang on your belt, which are pretty cool. I have one too, but I've never used one on a trail race because it only lasts like 5-6 hours. Anyways, they passed me earlier in the day, so I knew who they were. And the race is close to a military base, so there was a lot of military people in the race. But I caught them towards the end of the race, and the reason I did is because one of the guys was injured, just chafed up, really beat up. But, it's like they weren't going to leave their wingman, so they were all running together. Even though most of them were better runners than me, I passed them. But when I got up close to them, they were listening like Ted Nugent or something. I think it was Cat Scratch Fever or something. 2 a.m, in the middle of the forest, we're running through the trail. I was running near them. Then all of a sudden we hear something running through the brush like Bigfoot. I mean, just bushes snapping. I mean, whatever it was huge. And it was running parallel to the trail towards us. And we never saw it, but I saw the silhouette, and it was just a big pig, big boar, and just crunching the brush. But that was kind of eerie. He did not like the music at all. It scared the crap out of him, and he was running away. But I had that happen one time. Another thing I had to me happen one time was in the J&J trail race. It was also late in the evening. It was 100K, but I've been running. The race started at night, so I'd been running a long time. And I was running through a riverbed, and I had two lights. I had my flashlight, and then I also had my headlamp. And what happened was I was going in and out of the riverbank, and in and out of the riverbank. And one time I came out of the riverbank, and then when I came back into the riverbank, the trail kept going in and out. I had to duck under this tree. And when I ducked under this tree, a bat flew out and hovered in front of me. I think I shined my light into this bat's eyes, and it's flying right in front of me. What was weird was when it first happened, I didn't think it was a bat. I thought it was like a giant moth or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was kind of tired and hallucinating. And what was weird about it or scary about it was it had red eyes, and when it opened its mouth and its teeth, it was all red too, kind of like something out of Halloween. And then I realized, no, this is a bat. And I had one of my hiking poles in my hand. I just been carrying. Sometimes I carry a hiking pole at night. Just kind of makes me feel safer and helps me get through the technical sections. I took this hiking pole, started swinging at him, and they can't see, but they got the radar. I think his radar picked up my hiking pole and he took off. But that really kind of startled me. And earlier this year in November, when I was running in Arkansas Traveler, same thing happened to me again, but I was just running on a road, a Jeep road, towards the end of the race, and I had a bat come out at me and around me. They just don't like lights at all. Or they're trying to find the insects that are flying around the lights, because I did have some of those, but it startled me some. The other thing that I run into many times on these late trail runs, overnight trail runs, is coyotes. What I found about is coyotes, they don't want anything to do with you. But when they howl and they're together as a pack, they can be over a mile away from you, but they sound like they're right next to you. I've never actually seen the pack of coyotes, but I've had several that gotten really close, or I thought they got really close, and kind of, I don't know, makes you worry a little bit. It's like a pack of dogs chasing you, I mean, the first time I encountered that was at Javelina 100, and that was my first 100-miler, actually. I did it twice. The first time I DNF'd at 82 miles because of lower back pain. Went out there the next year and finished it. But the first year I ran out there, the desert, you can hear those coyote packs, and they may be miles away, but they sound so close, and makes you feel a little bit vulnerable. I have coyotes that live near my house here, and sometimes I have seen some, they get lost in the morning trying to get back out to the forest. Some of these coyotes are as big as a German Shepherd. Imagine running up again in a pack of like 10 of them or something. I don't know. I think coyotes can be pretty spooky sometimes. And there was something else I was going to talk about. Talked about the feral dog. I've heard of feral hogs, but I've never heard of a feral dog. But it talks about an Ultrarunning magazine feral dog. I don't know what that means. Just imagining a big wild dog, kind of like a hyena. Oh, I know what I talk about. There's a big ad for Cycaps. There's always a big debate on whether or not you need to take salt tablets or not. I take them, I buy them in the packets. I get the packets, the reclosable packets. I like the ones that have like other minerals in them, like zinc and the other things that your body needs. And I usually take them every few hours, and I'll take some salt tablets. Excuse me. I'll take some salt tablets from aid stations, whatever brand they have. But I don't take too many. I take some, but I don't take too many. But, in the last 100 I did and this happens a lot, my hands swell up some, and I can't really close my fingers too much. People say, well, you don't have enough salt, but I took a lot of salt. And I notice it happens to other people too. And as a rule, when I'm hydrating, I usually drink one bottle of water, then one bottle of Gatorade or Tailwind or whatever they have, Base or whatever. So it's always half and half. Well, I'm dry. But I seem not to be getting enough salt. At least that's what people say. But then I've heard some famous coaches say, and some athletes saying, you don't need to take any salt at all. You get enough through the hydration and what you eat. So what is it? There's a big industry out there selling salt tablets. Do we really need it or not? Let me know what you think. But yeah. What else did I have? I think that's all my subjects from my Ultrarunning magazine. They had some good training plans in here. That's another thing about training plans. Have you used any of the training plans you can buy on the internet? I bought, I did go through the certified running training from RRCA, which is very good. So I learned how to do training plans. But I had also bought some training plans from Sage Canaday. Everybody knows Sage. I bought his 50K, basically his ultra marathon training plan. They're nice because I think they only cost like $20. And he not only gives you the training plans for, I think they're like a couple months long, and it covers a couple different distances, but he also has a glossary explaining everything. So if you need a training plan, I highly suggest, check out some things that are online or hire a coach. But coaches are very expensive, or some are. I've always found that very interesting. Some of the famous coaches, excuse me. I mean, someone like Jeff Browning can cost you $300 a month. Some of the other pros charge that much. That's not common, $200 to $300 a month. But there are some really good coaches out there. I can't remember their names offhand, but they only charge a little over $100 a month, and they just do a volume. They don't give you as many, calls and stuff. But it's interesting, the big gap in how much some of the coaches charge. And if you get a new coach, someone like me or someone like that, charge even less than that. But I highly suggest getting a coach if you're not sure how to train, because one of the key things, and you'll learn from any coach, is the most important thing when you're trying to improve is just consistency. What that means is doing something every day. Don't take a bunch of time off. Let's talk about that a little bit. I take very little time off unless I'm injured. I don't get injured very much, and I don't do stretching. I mean, I'm a weirdo in many ways, but it works for me. There's a lot of coaches out there say you don't need to stretch if you're doing ultras, or long distance running. They say stretching is for track athletes. There's some benefit to that. But anyways, getting back to what I was talking about, consistency is doing something every day. It doesn't have to be running. It can be cross training. I'm real big in biking. I've been doing more biking this week than running because I'm still recuperating from my 100-miler last weekend. I've been doing skiing, my ski erg machine. I do that every day. That's a nice thing. And I've got a full gym here. I'm actually sitting on my weight bench right now. If my legs are beat up and I can't run, there are a lot of things I can do that are going to benefit my running. So, but the idea of taking like a couple weeks off doing nothing, I just think that's not good. Also, it's our culture. Our culture is to train and run. It's our way of life. If you're only training for racing, then you're missing the point. Like one famous coach says that racing is a celebration, and I really believe that. And you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. You should only compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. I think that's very important. People get caught up on that, Strava and stuff, comparing themselves to everyone. But that's not necessary. Consistency, write out a plan. If not, keep it in your head. I don't write out a plan. I just kind of know what I want to do. I know I want to run about 10K a day, and I try to have a long run once a week. I don't keep up with that too much, but I usually run at least 10K when I run. And when I'm biking, I usually do 20K. And the important thing, and I didn't learn this for a long time. I've been running for a long time, over 30 years. I think in the last 5 years, I really learned that get the most out of your workout. What does that mean? That means push hard. I mean, there should be some days that are easy days, but don't do any junk miles. So if some days in the week you need to do some hill work or maybe do some tempo runs, you can do it on the same course that you're running, the easy runs. Just run harder. Try to run a faster mile or incorporate some strides. What strides means is, like running 100 yards fast as you can. You can incorporate those in your run. Because I'm a fan of Maffetone, Dr. Phil Maffetone's method, where you basically run at a low heart rate all the time. But I modify it some. I throw in strides here and there, and it works for me. Because what I want to do when my running, most of my running is nowadays is in the hey, hi, thanks for joining. Most of my running is in between the 10 to 11 minute miles. I found that, the Maffetone training has gotten that time down, because when I get into a longer ultra, I'm going to be deteriorating over time. So, the last 20, 30 miles, I may be doing 14 to 16 minute miles, speed walking, whatever. So it's important to get your base mileage to a strong pace that you can maintain through all your training. And then you plan to deteriorate in the races. That's normal. But you do this by consistency. So if you can't run or you don't want to run, you biking. And when you're biking, I'm pushing 13, 14 miles an hour. I could easily cruise around at 10 miles an hour. You got to push yourself if you want to get gains. Same thing in weightlifting, if you're coming from weightlifting or another sport, it's the same concept. If you're just joining, I have a cold, so I'm fighting a cold. It's amazing. I got 3 COVID shots and a flu shot. I still caught the cold. I don't know how that's possible. Like a doctor explained that to me. But that or the flu shot ain't worth the shit this year. Who knows? I know I don't have COVID. My family's had a cold, and now I've got a cold, but amazing. I'm got more vaccines in me than ever, and I caught the cold. But yeah, hi Sophie. Thanks for joining. Yeah, Sophie and Allison, you both have the same message, but I'm sorry I don't understand what that means. But thanks for joining anyways. But we're just talking about training plans, how to build up your training plans. If you're a new runner, couch to 5K, you want to start easy, increase by 10% a week. It's not a bad idea to go out and walk a mile and then jog a mile. It's the same concept when you're a very experienced runner. I mean, I've been running over 30 years. When you get to the ultra level, you do the same thing. We may be doing 40, 50 miles a week. We jump up to 70, 80 miles a week. We have to jump slowly. Otherwise you can get injured, or just, you get fatigue in your legs and you just really can't do what you plan to do. But that's where the cross training comes in, biking, swimming, whatever you want to do. It's all good. It's all good stuff. It gets a little bit harder this time of year for some people up north because the weather's getting really bad. I'm fortunate here in Texas, the weather's pretty good. Today it was really foggy, but still in the 60s and 70s. We've had some cold days, but in my last race, it was in the 60s. The race before that, it was in the 50s, so the weather's pretty good. But I think that's about it. I don't have anything else to talk about tonight. I'd like to thank everybody for joining, and stay tuned for future live streams. Take care. Bye-bye.